Hello, this is Allie with the Perception Trainers, author of The Perception Diet. And in today's video, I am going to talk to you about what self-care actually is. So you can see that the title of this video is What the Fuck is Self-Care? And I just thought that would be funny. So the reason that I'm making this video is because on my last video, which was why self-care is non-negotiable if you want to be a good person, many people said to me that they didn't know where to even begin with self-care. They don't know what self-care is. And so this video is going to be sort of explaining what self-care is, but really the point of this video is to explain to you why you are currently resisting self-care. So the first thing that I want to say about self-care is that self-care is pretty basic. It's really not that hard. And when you say to me, like, I don't know what self-care is, I'm not judging you, because I totally used to be that person who just, like, there's so much information out there about what self-care is and what it is to take care of yourself and what it looks like to take care of yourself. And that information is actually pretty easily available, and the thing is, if you were to just kind of sit down and think about it, you probably do know what self-care is. What the problem that you're coming up with right now is that you're resisting actually doing self-care stuff, right? So to kind of start this off, what is self-care? So self-care is really just as basic as, eating healthy food, moving your body, because that's just a non-negotiable for health, right? So moving your body in a way that brings you enjoyment and pleasure. Having a way to express what you're thinking and feeling on a regular basis. So things like journaling, things like having a counselor, things like having just really good, rewarding relationships. Expressing your creativity, so drawing, coloring, playing the piano, listening to music and dancing, cooking, decorating your house, dreaming of things and making vision boards, anything that you enjoy doing that's a creative outlet for yourself. And play, having things in your life that are there just purely for enjoyment, just purely because you like doing them, not because they make you better, not because it's self-improvement, nothing like that, but just play stuff. And then the last thing that I like to include in the self-care kind of kit is self-improvement stuff or personal growth things, because the truth is that as human beings, we tend to just feel better when we're evolving, or when we're growing and learning and changing and becoming better. And so, like, studying something that you really enjoy, or like doing life coaching stuff, doing yoga, meditation, these kind of self-reflection, personal growth, introspective activities kind of make up the self-care package. And so the first thing I want to say is that nothing I just said there is mind-blowing. Nothing I just said there is new. That's basic, right? Eating, moving, resting when you need to rest, emotional expression, creative expression, having fun, and personal growth. That's it. That's all you really need for living a life where you're taking care of yourself. Now, where this gets a little complicated is two reasons, okay? So the first reason I want to talk to you about is that self-care is a little different for everyone. So to commit to a self-care regime, you actually have to commit to learning about yourself, which a lot of people are resistant to do. And number two is most people have resistance, have ideas about why they cannot engage in self-care routines. So they literally don't even absorb the information about what self-care looks like. It's like it goes totally over your head. Even though you've heard it a million times, it's like you literally haven't heard it, because you're in such a state of resisting self-care that you actually can't even hear it when someone says it to you. So the first thing that I want to talk about is self-care is personal. And so when you endeavor to go on a self-care journey, or when you endeavor to say, okay, I realize right now I'm not taking care of myself and I need to start taking care of myself, the first thing you're going to say is like, of course, I don't know what that looks like. And that's not because you haven't heard about what self-care is, that's because you've never taken the time to figure out what self-care looks like for you. Okay? So the way that I kind of like to explain this is like my version of self-care, my routine that I do that helps me feel like I'm taken care of would not serve my mom, and it would not serve my partner. So for instance, my mom loves reading, and she loves reading like novels, like stories. And so part of her self-care routine is that she sets aside 30 minutes to an hour every single day to just sit and read a novel. And so if I were to go into her life and say, okay, that's what self-care looks like, I have to sit and read novels now, that wouldn't be taking care of me. That wouldn't be self-care to me because I don't really enjoy reading novels. You see? So I would rather play a game of Sudoku or listen to Deepak Chopra on the internet. And then for another instance, say, I need way more alone time than my partner needs, right? So for me to take an hour or two a day to just be alone and to meditate and do yoga and all that stuff is self-care, whereas for him to do that, that would feel more like torture to spend 2 hours a day alone. And so he would rather spend more time with people, and that fills his tank, where I need time alone. So I need you to understand that when you start to go on this self-care journey, you're going to know that no one's going to be able to give you the answer that's for the exact right routine that's going to serve you best, okay? Self-care, and when you go on this journey of learning what is self-care for you, it's a journey, and you have to learn what self-care for you, and no one else can give you that answer. So like I say, you're going to have to fulfill those 7 categories, but what goes into each one of those 7 categories is a unique and individual thing, right? So you need to figure out, what is the best way to eat that serves me? What is the best way to move that serves me? For some people, that's running marathons. For some people, that's doing yoga 3 times a week. So different, but filling that category, correct? You need to figure out what emotional expression feels the best for you. You need to figure out what kind of creative expression works the best for you. You need to figure out what things are fun for you and that are just fun. You need to figure out what kind of personal development stuff works for you and what stuff doesn't. And that's part of the reason why so many people have such a hard time with self-care, is they think that there's some sort of blueprint out there that someone's going to be able to give you the answer of this, here's how you take care of yourself. But the thing is, that's not how it works. You have to go on the journey. You have to discover for yourself what feels good and what nourishes you. And the way you do that is you try things, right? So you take those 7 categories. I'll put it in the description below so that you can know what I'm talking about. But you take those categories and then you start playing with different things in each one of those categories until you find the right fit for you. Okay? And then number 2 is you probably have a lot of resistance built up around self-care. And again, I'm coming from a place of totally understanding that because I used to be that person too. I had all of these reasons why taking care of myself was not okay, right? So it was selfish. I had too many other things to do that I needed to get done. Too many other people depended on me and I couldn't take time to just, take care of myself. I wanted to be an inspirational person who's helping other people, so if I'm sitting there like taking care of myself, how ridiculous is that? I don't deserve self-care. I don't deserve to be taken care of. Not until everyone else and everything else is taken care of do I deserve to take care of myself. And the thing was, by the time that to-do list got done, there wasn't time. And so what I want you to start to look at in yourself is why you have a resistance to taking care of yourself. Because like I say, this stuff is not rocket science. Eating food, easy. Moving your body, not that hard. Doing a little bit of art, like a couple of times a week, easy. Expressing yourself emotionally, technically you can get to a place where that's easy. And like I say, you've heard all this stuff before and you've probably heard it many, many times. So why are you resisting? And I want you to really go and think about that. And even if you want to write in your journal, why do I resist self-care? And then just answer the question as many times as possible until you get to an answer that really feels like the right answer, that really feels like why, really why you're resisting self-care. And then you need to start to work on that thought. And only you can work on that thought. And only you can work on those limiting beliefs that you have around self-care. And again, this is one of those things that no one can do this for you, and that's why it's so difficult. Is because I can't come up to you and be like, oh, you resist self-care because you think that you're not worthy. Well, here's the answer to solving that problem, right? I can't give you that because the problem lies in you and in your thoughts, and it's only your ability to question those thoughts and move away from that thought that's going to help you, get to a place where you're comfortable with self-care. So like I say, like I went through this too. I had to question my thoughts over and over and over again. And then the third thing that I want to say is, like, once you realize what your resistance to self-care is, start doing it anyways. Okay, so don't wait until your mind is totally changed and you're totally cool with self-care and you don't feel guilty about it anymore before you do it, because that's not how it works. You need to start doing your self-care routine. You need to start, experimenting with things and playing around with things and realizing that at first it's not going to feel good because you have all these resistant thoughts. And then you have to keep doing it anyways, right? You need to change your behavior and then your thoughts will start to change. So that's the last thing that I want to leave you with, is that if you have a lot of resistance to self-care, you need to do self-care stuff even more. And you need to do it before it feels good. Okay? It's not going to feel good off the bat because right now it's out of alignment with the thoughts that you have, right? It's out of alignment with your idea of yourself and what's right in this world. And by taking those steps to just do it anyways, to do your self-care routine anyways, to do the experiments where you figure out what works for you and what doesn't anyways, that's how you start to change those thoughts, okay? So that is my spiel on what the fuck self-care actually is. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, please leave them down below. Find us on Facebook at Perception Trainers, Instagram on Urban Fruit Bat, and if you have any video requests or questions for me, I love that, so leave those down below. And until next time, I will see you later.